Oh man. Yeah, I laughed for days after that. That was so fantastic.
That was classic.
Yeah,
That was classic.
wonderful. Yeah.
Bean doing bean things. That's probably where you can cut it right there.
Yeah.
Just before that.
Mm-hmm.
What were we going to talk? What were we talking about?
Oh, we covered
Kings of the West.
Yeah, we covered a lot before we.
Kings of the West, matchmaking, rain. If you guys don't know who's sitting across the table from me, his unofficial name is A Tall Drink of Water.
Officially Mason Sheets.
Officially Mason Sheets. I'm telling you. No, Mason's not new to the podcast. Mason's been here several times, and just the glow on his face. Many reasons. I'd say the main was it rained out west.
It did. We're back on track. Let's put it that way. We've at least got some hope to start.
Yeah.
So
dude, I'm telling you right now, I watch radar probably more for the guys out west than I do for myself because, man, when you got buddies that just, they won't even raise a crop. They won't even like see it get a portion of the way through life. Like it sucks.
Right.
It sucks. And it's like you sitting here and I'm fighting rain and mud and everything else, which has its own problems. But man, I've lost crops to a drought and I've lost crops to a flood. A drought's worse.
Yeah.
A drought's worse.
Yeah. What I hate about our droughts, which I don't really discriminate against a drought because everybody's in their own context are just terrible.
Yeah.
But what's just the pits is you put a crop out and it'll get to the point where it's going to try to make grain and it's out of gas and out of hope and that's it. You got
a little bit of a plant out there and nothing on it.
It grows a plant halfway decent and then just zero grain. It just can't complete the second half of its life, which arguably is the most important part of the life in our world. So
you're in forest.
All right.
If you're in forest, just kick stuff. Gosh.
No rules.
Yeah, no rules. Anyway, so it rained out west, and it's been amazing. All of a sudden, like boom, like y'all can farm again.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so encouraging.
Right.
That has been so encouraging. I hope Southwest gets rain now. I really do. We got a buddy down there that I'm telling you, it's like, come on. They got a couple of tenths the other day.
He's living on the edge,
and he is just wound for sound. Wow. There's some people that are going to say a couple of tenths.
Yeah.
Like there's guys a couple tenths, they're planting 6 hours later.
Oh yeah.
But out west, man, I mean, what can a crop do with a couple tenths? In a dry climate, you introduce that into it. Is it not that much? It's probably not that much.
Yeah, I would say it's how dry are you? I mean, if you're dry where there's no hope, it's just no hope. But I mean, if you're on the edge, those little rains can kind of keep you going. But it's like everybody else. You need that big one to change the atmosphere to give that crop a break during the day. Not just trying to live at night. Which at this point of the year, like there's not a lot going on except for the wheat and. I don't know, somehow wheat can just pull it out of the bag at the very last minute. So
guys are waiting to plant till there's water.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Our buddy, he sent me a Snapchat, pulled a, big rip ball of wheat out, and there's heads coming on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure when this podcast will drop, so we might be a little closer to wheat harvest now. But the top inch or so, maybe inch and a half, was wet, and under that was the dust just fell off.
Yep.
And that plant was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, golly.
Yeah, even just a little rain will perk it up. So our last rains that came through last week, I think it was Wednesday night, it came through and we got an inch. And I mean, we were like a week away from calling the insurance adjusters, like brown spots out in the wheat field, and you got there and there's this little brown plant that was hanging over, and now it's sticking straight up, like it's ready to fight another day, and it was at the point in time where it had stopped vegetative growth, but like the heads were still coming, and they're setting flag leaves right now, and there's wheat fields like from the top of the table that are like this tall and a flag leaf coming out. So like you're talking
Man,
a
we're not
foot,
far from
maybe
that.
18
Our
inches
wheat's
tall.
super short this year.
I think it's just one of those years.
It's really odd. Now, I mean, the thing is we complain about big wheat falls over,
Hmm.
and but then the wheat's short, and we complain about short wheat.
Right. Well, and in our world anymore, wheat seems to be grown for the stubble. So
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, so if you're missing, 50% of the stubble, like that hurts going into the next crop.
Now, is that being grown for ground cover after harvest or straw and
Um,
forage and
yeah,
things?
so I mean it's a cash crop, but I mean the real value is harvesting the wheat and then the following year, planting corn or milo into it,
Oh,
having
sure.
that residue. So, I
It's
mean,
setting you up for the next crop,
yes, yeah, it's
holding
it's kind of a
moisture and
rotational effect,
okay, sure.
I mean, wheat prices aren't super stellar right now, and the
Right.
latest rage is the carnivore diet. So, honestly, the big thing a lot of people are doing right now is
Yeah.
fencing off wheat and dumping cows out on it.
So I was talking to a guy um, in Iowa this I was earlier this week, and he is going to. Some people are going to think I'm talking about Ryan Gibbs. It was actually a different guy. He had some. I think it was in western Iowa,
Mm,
closer to Nebraska, and he was actually going to take some of his low production acres, like I guess some pretty tough dirt,
mm-hmm,
um, and he was just going to cover crop it and graze it and finish his calves out
mm-hmm,
on it this summer because he ran the numbers and I believe he qualified for a cover crop program, so he had his seed paid for. Um, I don't know. Don't like. There's some people are gonna be like, okay, hang on. I believe he didn't have to insure it because he went just into a cover crop,
yeah,
so he didn't have crop insurance cost. Um, didn't have to worry about a bunch of herbicide inputs or a lot of fertility. And then he was looking at. He's like, okay, if I've got, I want to say he had like $50 in the cover crop to plant and whatever, and he put a little fertility on with
mm-hmm,
it, but but his gains per acre on on grazing steers was way higher,
tremendous. Yes,
way higher.
low input, low risk.
Yeah, he's like this corn's probably going to be 130, 150 bushel corn,
Mm,
which, and he's like it may only, that some I'm sure some guys are going to be like, "Man, that's pretty good corn."
right.
But where he's at, he's like, "Man, this is a little lower production for me. It's all dry land." Um, He's like, if it rains, it'll crank. If it doesn't, its dirt dries out. Very sandy, some hilly stuff. He's like, dude, my ROI per acre on a steer is so much higher than corn right now at
Right.
$4 corn.
Hmm.
And you know,
Yeah, I've got a neighbor that they have just a little cutout next to a pasture that for the last like 10 years they've planted feed or sedan, and they
mhm,
just turn the cows out on it late in the summer with their calves. And they've kind of got like a little family deal that I don't know if they pool calves together when they sell, but kind of same genetics, same cow lines. And that pasture, those calves always had gotten split off going through the sale barn because they came in 75 pounds heavier on
unbelievable.
average, which that's just kind of farmer math talking. But I
Right.
mean, in today's cow market, a $3 or $4 steer times 75, you're over $200 an acre
$100.
just on added bonus for what you're already doing.
Yeah.
So,
And you can stick several miles per acre out there. You get a big cover crop.
hmm,
I don't know. I'm the only cover crop, the only grazing we do is on about 100 acres or so that we'll plant a crop, and we plan that to get cover crop in behind it, then winter graze it,
hmm,
and we kick the fall cows out on that. But I think it'd be now. I hate cows. Everyone knows. If most people who know me more than a day know I hate cattle, but I think it would be cool to see, just how much volume of plant you could grow, how many pounds you could pack on cattle through a rotational grazing. And I mean, I'm sure there's people watching this like, dude, there's lots of people doing, and I know there's people doing this,
hmm,
but actually putting the math to it, what is my ROI on beef, my ROI on grain?
right.
And there's a lot of farmers out there that don't want to admit that there's more money in beef production
Yeah.
right now than there is in grain. And now, am I going to go fence all my stuff off and put cows in it? No.
No,
No, I'm not.
nobody's going to change the whole farm around just for
No.
that.
But if he was geographically set up to where he could do that man, I think there's great opportunity right now.
Oh, I think so. I mean, especially, right in your area where you guys like to double crop beans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to beans. I don't know cost of production on beans. We just don't grow them out there.
Sure.
Maybe planting something after wheat harvest to graze instead this winter makes a lot more money than what beans do.
The biggest kicker is, and I do think this is a kicker in a lot of instances, double crop beans are insurable here.
Mm-hmm.
So, your county average is 20 bushel an acre double crop. You're at 75% coverage. That's going to pay for your seed and your herbicide, guaranteed. And, so really you have no risk if you're insured to have those double crop beans out there.
Right.
But at the same time, before that, there was not near as many double crops planted, and there was much more forage crops planted after wheat.
Makes
so you
sense.
cut the wheat, man. There was Sudan, millet, going in immediately behind the wheat stubble. Hay that off, plant it to a cover crop, and then winter graze it. It was a very common practice. So really, you were getting 3 crops a year.
That's impressive.
Yeah, 3 crops a year. If you consider you got your grain crop of wheat, you've got your hay crop that you also took off. Some guys are even baling straw. So, how many? If whether right, wrong, or indifferent, some years it's just needed for feed.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy had his wheat crop, straw crop, hay crop from the forage planted behind it, cover crop, which then goes into the beef cattle. So then you've got beef eating on it, which is a beef crop.
Mm-hmm.
It's labor intensive. It is. You gotta have fence and water and grass and pulling them off when it rains big and things like that.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's just something that if you're a guy that has some pasture, a neighbor, a field that borders a pasture, maybe throw something in there just for a little difference. If it's straight corn bean rotation, anything different than that's going to be just great for the following crop too. So it's kind of low hanging fruit right now is honestly what it is.
Sure. And I don't know the cattle market, man, people are like, oh, it's not going to last. It's not going to last. It's not going to last. I think this seems to be one of the longer high points we've had in a while. Would you agree with?
Yeah.
Because you're the beef guy. You like cattle. You like cattle.
Let's phone Woody up real quick. We're going to
do
that.
We need to have Woody on here to talk cattle.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've followed the statistics a lot more this go around, just because I'm older and more skin in the game, but because I've been buying some cattle and feeding them through the winter and different things. And
it worked.
Yeah, it worked great. It was a little bit of a gamble, and you're like, well, what am I doing? Forking over these kind of checks.
Not kidding. But I get a Snapchat from Mason last summer. I hate cows. Cows are so dumb. Why would anyone do it? It wasn't 45 days later, I get a Snapchat of cattle coming out of a trailer, saying, we're doing it again. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I got some short-term memory. I just need a little month break from it, and
kind of miss it a little bit. Get back to it.
Yeah. Everybody has a bad day. It did.
It works.
It worked well. Anyway, so back to the statistics on it.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've gathered is that we were so drought stricken before like the 10-year average cattle cycle where we're at historic low cow numbers, that kind of thinned out the herd much quicker. And so it's going to drag out the rebuilding process longer.
Man, I don't think there's many people who want to do cows.
No, I have some own like conspiracy theory thoughts on that a little bit, that these statistics kind of lie.
Oh, well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just look at pasture.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas has a massive red cedar infestation. There's just less grass to eat. They can't eat on a cedar tree. So like statistically those acres are pasture, but like not edible. And like guys run out of grass and have to start feeding like that. And then, hunting leases and different things for recreation. Like, I'm not saying that this is good, bad, or indifferent, but like, I think that maybe there's not as much capacity for the animals that what there is let out to be. So I think that maybe
the grass broke out.
Yeah, broke out, and and people just getting out of cows, bigger cows,
Sure.
less head numbers just because the size is up there.
Okay.
Um, I just, yeah, I have some thoughts that this isn't going to be something that lasts forever, but I also think that when it's time to come down, it's probably going to come down a lot faster than what all the economic statistics are leading to. Now,
Like
that's just
the
my hype.
high of cattle.
Yeah, like
Sure.
I think they're going to come a point there, you're like, well, all of a sudden our pastures are filled and our
Beef is
herds rebuilt.
poisoning us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sure there's some black
That'll come
swan
out.
thing.
Yeah.
There's always some headline, but yeah, just some of that stuff. It kind of leaves me a little leery. But for the time being, I'm definitely trying to take advantage in the areas that I can, and it's a nice flip flop to commodity grains that have went down. So it's you're staying
There's a lot of
flexible.
farms staying afloat right now because of cattle.
Mm-hmm. That's how they did it back in the day before crop
Absolutely.
insurance. I mean,
It was hogs.
yeah,
My
history.
dad had hogs. They were mortgage lifters. They were mortgage. That
I
was
believe
literally
it.
what Dad called it. I mean,
Hmm.
that was just a term.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of the guys that raised hogs in the 80s. It was you farmed and then you had hogs to pay for the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to um, Farm for Profit. No, Barn Talk.
Barn
I was
talk.
listening to
Yeah.
Barn Talk, and they had it. They were talking about. I like that podcast a lot. I really like the Barn. I haven't met those guys,
Mhm.
but they were what's the dad? I can't
I
remember
couldn't even
his
tell you. I've watched millions of
of
clips
their
from them and
TikToks and
watched it.
everything
Oh
else.
yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't looked at Barn Talk, check it
Yeah.
out. And then they've
That's a
got a
good
meat
one.
business
Hmm.
that is
It's like the direct to consumer.
yes, it is.
I can't think of the name either.
Golly,
Man,
this
we're
eat
great
me
on.
alive now. This is gonna eat me alive. I will think of it.
Yeah.
I will think of it. Anyway, yeah. So they were talking. He was talking about hogs and the cycle it went through of hogs are worth a ton of money, like a ton of money, and then they just went to nothing. And so many guys got out of the hog business. My dad got out of hogs then at
Mm-hmm.
the same time. And that's when he shifted to cattle. He actually had goats.
Poor
And
guy.
yeah, mom, and that was around the time him and mom. Now, easy, Randall's going to listen to this, and Randall's got the gold nugget over there,
Well,
just cashing in with the goat eating people.
yeah, I've dabbled in goats like 3 or 4 times, and
Really,
it's always a great idea until you get into it, and then they start getting out or some sort of sickness or something, and they're not a beef cow. You don't just like throw up a single wire fence around a field and turn them out and eat something.
right.
It's a whole ordeal.
So, I was going to say, yeah, and then mom and dad got married, and mom came out. Mom was one of the head secretaries of Boeing aircraft in Wichita, and the one of the goats was standing on top of her car,
Mm.
and she's like, "The goats are leaving,"
Mm-hmm.
and the goats left, and then they had kids. So
There we go. Something
here
else
we
to wrangle.
are,
Yeah.
and here we are, my man.
Exactly.
But anyway, so yeah, I don't know, man. I love your perspective on agriculture. I love learning from the guys in the East. I love learning from guys in the West. And this is something I observed and learned, and I can say in confidence, and this is not a hard line. You want to learn about extreme agronomics, go to the East. If you want to learn about risk averse and how to pull a profit out of nothing, go to the West. And it is so much fun to get those two groups walks of life in a room and listen to the conversation that's had, because you have so many. And then I've made friends, I made enemies with this exact conversation right here. You get guys in the East, and I would put myself in that category more times than not, where we're nerding out on the next thing that can add a couple bushel to this or that. And I'll talk to guys in the West, man, it will re-zero me back into my nerdness is really many times a stumbling block that's keeping me from progressing and seeing the big picture. Where, and the guys in the West, man, if they you got to really be on your game and you got to really know your stuff to get them to try something new,
Mm-hmm.
because not much works out there. But if you find something that works, man,
It's a game changer.
you send it.
Mm-hmm.
You send a lot of it.
Right, right. It's funny you say that. I was actually thinking of that on the way down here.
Okay.
I always love seeing Snapchats of Gibbs or somebody out there. They're running some foliar concoction that looks like they just walked through the grocery store and grabbed something from 20 different aisles and threw it in the tank. But yeah, I'm jealous that they have the water to do that, but I also love seeing that because then I can nitpick it and see if there's any little bits and pieces that work for me,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of little nuances that have came from that people have started to pick up to, because it seems like foliar feeding has been the latest rage for crops, the past couple years. And like, it's great. I can sit back and watch what works and what doesn't. And then I can say, hey, well, I'll go try it over here, on a little scale and prove it or not prove it.
I am right. Hang on. I think I found it. Right.
What are you doing, searching for the name of it?
That beef company. Yeah, I really
I think
want.
they have a pork company.
Yeah. I'll get to it. It's Sawyer Whistler.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's his name. Yeah. Right there. Instagram. I'm gonna pull this up. Farmer grade.
There we go.
Farmer grade. Anyway, I've never ordered a thing from him, but I saw the ad on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, this is really well thought together. And you see this, I saw this on a marshmallow guy that making marshmallows on TikTok, started a little business making these flats of marshmallows and cutting it and packaging it. And it was intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching this, and next thing I know, I found myself, I want to get some of these like lemon drop marshmallows with cookie chunks embedded in it. Anyway, but they had that. It was flipped a box, grabbed it, went in. This customer ordered this piece. Brilliant marketing, very connective. Like,
Right.
This guy's packing my box, and that was so cool. My hat's off to him and his group. I don't know how it's comprised or all, but
value added is a lot of work.
yes,
it is a ton of work. It is way dirtier than what it seems like on social media or whatever.
Yeah.
But with that being said, the old saying goes, history repeats itself. Back in the day, they used to grow stuff and send it to the local grocery store, or trade with neighbors, or do this or that.
That was life.
Look what's coming back around. That's like keeping farms afloat.
It's that. You go.
Like,
I went into Fanistil today, and there was cheese from Alma.
Mhm.
There was grapes from somewhere like 2 counties down. There was bacon that was from a ranch up north. There was steak from a ranch out west.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry, I totally went in
I
left
mean,
field here.
Same thing.
But yeah, I mean, it's value added, bringing value back to the farm. Man, there's so much opportunity. If don't get stuck in the mindset that whatever my corn and beans and wheat makes this year is just what I'm stuck to.
Oh yeah, there's just so much opportunity out there right under our nose. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge scale either. I mean, take 2% of your farm acres and do something that is value added of some sorts, and it'll change the bottom line.
And if 2% of your acres like makes your operation go under.
Okay, guys, real quick, we've got a blog and a newsletter. A lot of people don't know that.
Yes, and a bunch of great information, trying to be timely, how that fits throughout that year of agriculture, that we know there's different thoughts going through our heads during different seasons.
We have different people write it. We've got people from all over the United States, different walks of life, that have really cool perspectives that bring so much value as a whole. And you guys can find these. It's at singularagronomics.com under, I believe it's the media portion, or blogs. There's a whole blog. There's a blogs link.
Yes.
There's a blogs link. Check out the link in the description. I'm serious. That's probably, I enjoy reading those so much, just because you hear from so many cool people that are really, we have someone new write it every month.
Well, yeah, and it's a quick read.
It is.
It's a quick read. Head to the website.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, well, I heard a rule of thumb that said 4% of your acres should be test strips or test plots every year.
I think that's a
Just
great
just so
idea.
I mean, you don't have to
And
change
what
it,
are the
but
chances it makes 0?
if that makes 0, you either were gambling way too much or you had a
something
bad
that
weather.
really didn't
Yeah,
work.
and you know not to do it on the
We
farm.
don't do this.
Or you had a bad year and the
Yeah.
rest of the farm's probably going to be
If
hurting too.
4% was 10% under the rest,
Mhm.
that's not that
That's
much.
minuscule.
Yeah, it's very small. And maybe 40% of the 4 was 10% over.
Mhm.
Found things that worked. ROI or
Exactly.
whatever it might
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
just learn something.
Sure. I mean, well, you got Woody, you've got Petey out, you got Woodside, Northwest Kansas, you've got Petey in Tennessee, and they're going through the work of establishing their own base of customers and direct to farm consumer. And so, but the thing is a lot of people get this conception of, I'm going to get some cows, I'm going to take them to the meat locker, butcher them, and now I can charge $5, $6 a pound for the hamburger and $20 a pound for the steak, and we're game on.
Right.
I'm rich. It's not that easy.
Mhm.
There's a reason not everyone's doing it.
Yeah. Well, you have to enjoy it, and people love buying the story. I mean,
Yes.
I found myself, even if you're finding something that's from somebody's farm, you get to know them a little bit and you just feel good supporting them. And then you get
Absolutely.
home and every time you consume whatever you got, you just feel good again.
It's, it's funny. One of my greatest mentors in my life told me, we were talking about the awkward feeling of money and relationships,
Mhm.
because so much of our life is impacted by finance. I mean, and it was this, I may have used this example before, but he pulls his wallet out and he says, pull your wallet out. And I'm like, okay. And he opens it up. He had a lot more money in his than I had in mine. Anyway, and he takes my wallet, and I had a $100 bill in there. And he pulls a $100 bill out and he tosses me the wallet. He sticks it in his wallet. He sticks it in his pocket. He's like, what's the exact thing you're feeling right now? And he goes, and I go, what the heck, man?
Right.
And he's like, is that a good feeling or a bad feeling? I'm like, well, it's certainly not a good feeling.
Right.
Anyway, and pulls his wallet back out. He takes my 100 and one of his 100s out, and he sticks it in my wallet. He hands it back to me. He goes, tell me what's on your thoughts right now. And I go, you didn't need to do that. What's that for?
Mhm.
He's like, how much different is that than the feeling you just told me? And I said, it's the opposite. It's the definition of opposite. He goes, all I did, he's like, he's like, how much of feeling in life is caused by a financial transaction? Now, sure, money, you can have a interaction with someone that has no finance. I mean, I pass down the street and I walk into a store and a guy's walking in, and I hold the door for him, or a gal or whatever. And, hey man, thanks. Appreciate it. Triggers positive response. Some guy goes in, just lets the door go right as I'm coming through, and hit the door. What the heck, man?
Right.
Sure. But in the world of finance, because gosh, man, we have so many we have more, I can't remember the statistic, how many financial decisions the average farmer has to make in a single day is a bunch.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Do I buy a sandwich? Do I buy do I buy parts? Do I rebuild this? Do I get new tires? Do I not? When do I change the oil? When do I not? What grade of oil do I get? The more expensive, less expensive? How many seed treatments? How many not seed treatments? The good 5-wire fence or the okay 5-wire? I mean, there's so many things.
Right.
Anyway, I am so squirreling, it's not even funny.
That's all right. That's what this is designed for.
That's exactly right. But I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh yes, feeling good about something we did or someone you supported. And so he goes, he says, money so oftentimes has a spiritual tie to it. That's why there's a lot of talk in the Bible about money, a lot. It's, the love of money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say money is, the love of money is the root of all evil. And I mean, we've all seen relationships tore apart simply because of money.
Mhm.
You take money out, would it still be there? I don't know. But, and instantly names start popping into our minds, businesses, relationships, whatever it might be. And it could be for the better. It could be for great, for mutual benefit, could be for great things. But it is really fulfilling. And anyway, so my mentor told me, he says, money is proof that money is proof of service done well. Money is proof of service done well.
Mhm.
He says, if you serve people well, you won't have to worry about the money side. And both of us are kind of money geeks. We enjoy it. We enjoy finance. We love figuring out new avenues of revenue and things of that nature and doing unique stuff with our dollars.
Right.
But anyway, someday we'll do a podcast on that. We'll rip the lid off that one.
Yeah.
But it is, and we've talked about it. We talked about this at our dealer conference. I talk about this with people. Dude, I don't mind writing a check to someone if they did me a service with that I'm appreciative for.
Mhm.
Like I use example of Joe, seed dealer. I don't mind writing that check. Like it's supporting something I have connectivity to, and vice versa. I buy seed from Joe. Joe buys, Volvic from me, or whatever it might be. It's
Right.
it's this transaction. Woody brought me beef. I wrote Woody a check. I enjoy that steak.
Yep.
It's
Right.
it's okay. But how much disconnect do we have in life now of things we get, things we use? We don't know where the money's going. We don't know what they're doing with it. And really that's their business, but still, like it feels good to support and financially, pay your bill to an entity you appreciate.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you buy from people.
You do.
I mean, so much of the world, products are different. Don't get me wrong, but they're not that much different. At the end of the day, you buy
Right.
from the people.
Right.
Like you're going to make things work regardless.
Mhm.
And that's just exactly what you said. It's always about the people.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you can dive into the economics of rural economy and, that dollar gets spent 10, 12, however many times, throughout it. I mean, you think about like credit cards and when they take a transaction fee, like I thought it was silly, but then it's like, if you ever like put like a tracker on a dollar bill and watched it go around town, like it doesn't multiply on itself, but it's spent and everybody is better off because of it. And then when you start going to other places and spending your money out of town, like it starts drying up your local economy.
So this is interesting. This is a fun one. I have a friend. You'll probably figure out who it is. I have a friend, very, very unique individual, owns a very successful company, and they have a Christmas party every year. And at this Christmas party, they are absolute off the charts with giving
Mm-hmm.
to their employee base. They've got over 400 employees now. Man, I want to say in the last 10 years, they've gone from 100 employees to over now they're closing on 500. I mean, explosive growth.
Mm-hmm.
They are American made. They are good at what they do. Anyway, so their Christmas party, I really enjoy talking about the Christmas party because I dream of doing things like this.
Right.
So I was down there, I was hanging out with him right before Christmas, and he goes, you want to see $1 million? Or it might have been, I think it was $1.5 million, $1.5 million. And I'm like, yeah, that's I haven't seen that before.
Casual.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. Some people are going to think I'm wacky, but like money doesn't mean a whole lot to me. It's not like, there's people, that like they live for the dollar.
Mhm.
I have tried really hard to not be that way. And so it's like, okay, sure, whatever. I just enjoy being around you more than $1 million, but whatever. So he's drops the back of a trailer, and I'm not kidding. There was $1.5 million sitting there in $2 bills.
No kidding.
$2 bills.
Oh my darn.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's 750,000 $2 bills.
I'm thinking, where do you get those at?
You have to place the order well in advance with the bank, well in advance, and
Okay.
they'll get it.
Okay.
They'll get it. And anyway, so I walk in. I was like, "Can I sit on it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't care." I'm like, "Okay." So I just sit down on it, and I'm like, "This is an X9."
Right.
That's the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm like, "This is an X9."
Yeah.
And anyway, and I'm like, because yeah, I mean, $1.5 million is a lot of money anymore, but it doesn't go near as far as it used to because it's become so watered down.
Yep.
So inflation has eaten so much dollar value up. It's not even funny. But we're sitting there and wow. And I said, "How come $2 bills?" He goes, "How many $2 bills do you see out in life?" I said, "Never." He goes, "I wanted to see how far $2 bills would go in our community. Because if it's a $2 bill, 99% chance, then I see it out and about 99% chance it came from us."
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave all their Christmas bonuses out in $2 bills. There was bundles. There was like $100 in $2 bills. There's 300, 500,000. I think there's a couple $5,000 and $10,000 bundles
Mm-hmm.
in $2 bills. And it was, so you talked about seeing your money at work. That was like literally something he did just because they wanted to see the impact it had. Where did it go?
Right.
Where'd those $2 bills go to? You'll get it at the gas station. You get it at the meat market. You get it at the Mexican restaurant, going all over the place. But it made me think of that. They also gave away 4 homes, like 7 vehicles, a couple like kitchen remodels. And it was crazy. It's like I've tried to structure a lot of our young company in the trajectory of things like that, where like their customer, they don't have turnover. They don't have turnover.
I would believe
They
that.
have employees there that have been there for a long time. Like you ask them, I asked one guy, I said, you plan on leaving? He looked at me like, "You evil."
Do you know
SOB.
something?
Yeah. Like it better be good. And anyway, it's like the better they treat people, the more success they have.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right.
Shocker.
Right.
And anyway, and it's my mentor, his name's Greg. He told me, he said, normally the guy that's good at work isn't short on work.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Find me one. It's going to be tough."
Right.
And so, but yeah, and then they gave away like 100 guns. It's just, it was crazy giving. Very
That's
small
wild.
fraction of their revenue of the business. And dude, like it's amazing to watch the culture. I've been fortunate enough to go down there several times now and just be around the business, the company, the interaction. And it's a family.
Right.
It's 500 family members
Man,
down
that's
there
awesome.
doing work in life together.
That's a testament to something that I think about. I don't have a business that needs employees, at least at this time. Yeah. Hopefully.
It's almost there.
But it's something that I think about because the whole thing in the world is nobody wants to work. So
By the way, he calls that BS.
I believe it.
He calls that BS.
Yeah.
He says, no, everybody that wants to work is at work.
Yeah.
And you don't find those people except at work.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very good.
But there's less people.
Yeah. Less people.
There's less people in our walk of life. There's less people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is it like? Nations or their population is like projected to start shrinking soon, like going backwards.
Less than 1% in agriculture, the U.S. populace.
But if you think about people, 2 or 3 generations before us, everybody worked to survive. It literally was at a point, it's like, I just want to get through winter and keep my kids fed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, along came cities and some modern things in life and manufacturing and all this. And so then people started building wealth.
Yeah.
Okay. And then people built wealth. And if you think about like our generation and age today, like it's really not hard to make money. Like if you have some drive,
it's not.
Like There's a guy on Instagram that's running a meat business.
Yeah.
You know, he has a podcast. You know, he's finding success. Like with the internet, you can do anything. Like, I
You
bet
can
you.
you can go buy a power washer, knock on some doors, say, "I'll power wash your driveway."
Exactly.
I still tell a couple young guys, I said, "Listen, you want to cash flow your way through college? Go buy a power washer and wash driveways on weekends and siding."
Yeah, look at the kids that have a mower, like a little
Mhm.
push mower, that take a video of them striping lawns. I love watching that.
It's very relaxing.
It is. And like, imagine if that's your house, like you're going to pay to feel good about your house. Back to the whole thing. So what I was getting at though, is like, there's a culture now of people that like work is easy. So they want to be appreciated. They want to work hard where they're appreciated. Nobody has to, that's too wide of a statement, but it's very easy to go make money to meet your basic needs and put a little aside. Whereas like a generation or two ago, that wasn't around. Like you still just took a job and you were happy to get money, raise the family, have a little bit to retire.
Right.
That culture shifted. So like, play into that. Look at these guys. I mean, 400 to 500 employees, like 100 is a small number, but like that's huge growth. And, you know, look what they're giving out because they can afford to.
Yeah.
People aren't going to want to leave. Like,
Right.
that's what it takes to have people around.
And they're very successful. They're very successful people. But dude, more power. A poor man never gave anybody a job.
Mhm.
I didn't coin that. Somebody told me that, and that stuck with me for years now. And because, you know, wealthy people, they get such a hard time so many times. Oh, you know, you need to pay more taxes. You need to do this. Oh, he has a nice truck. He has a nice house. He has all these things. Well, dude, you know what? How many families is he supporting? You know, what did he go through to get to that?
Yeah. Look at the ripple effect from what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Somebody's got to do it.
There's some bad apples. There's some wealthy people out there that are just Grinches, greedy Grinches.
Everywhere in every industry.
That's right.
They're always there.
Agriculture, not agriculture, you take whatever. You know, and so it's very interesting to watch that. It's cool to see it. It just my mind keeps coming back to that. You serve someone and your people well, and it's just keep your head down. Just keep your head down and do that. And man, it's amazing the opportunities that just open.
Right.
We still live in the land of opportunity.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean,
some days it doesn't feel like
no,
it.
it doesn't.
I mean,
it's like, is there anything left?
Right.
Is there anything left?
Yeah. But just when you think all hope's lost, one man's trash, another man's treasure.
That's exactly it.
I mean,
yeah, dude, do you know the money made in the trash industry?
I would believe it. There we are. Okay, so people that want to work are doing it, but like, that's what a lot of people say is like, find an industry that nobody else wants to do and go and dominate it. Do it well.
Yeah.
You'll have all the business in the world.
Yeah. People get scared about competition. We talk about that in the company, race to the bottom. You know, the cheapest option is not always. I like Alex Hermosi quite a bit. And he's like, man, if you can offset, if you're not the cheapest, make up for it in value. We try to do that. I mean, I think anybody educate. Tell you're $1 more a gallon. Tell me how I can use it better.
Right.
Bring me value. Replace that dollar with $2. Show me something I can learn from, build from, so on and so forth. So anyway, it's always so good to see your face.
Same, man. It's good to be down here.
I'm glad it's raining out west.
You and me both.
Yeah.
It just refreshes the soul. It was so funny. I probably said this earlier, but the day after the rain, just the whole community was so much happier. You just heading out of town. I mean, the waves are bigger, the smiles are bigger. How you doing? You know,
Right.
Like everybody's just feeling good. And then you get a couple more days of that, and then by the end, everybody's like, I need
mad about the mud,
yeah,
and the dirty
I need to
trucks,
get this done, and
yeah.
you know. But yeah, no, rain is good. It does more than just for the landscape. It refreshes the soul.
Yeah. My dad always said you will make more money on a wet year than a dry year. And my dad grew up with lifetimes like floods, many floods. I mean, that was just, you farmed on the river, it's coming. When's it coming? Hopefully you have the crop out, either not in yet or out before it hits. And anyway, he's like, I've lost a lot of crops to drought and a lot of crops to floods. And I always did do a little better on flood years.
Right.
But brings a
Believe
whole nother set of
it,
problems.
right. Believe it or not, I've actually seen crops flooded out.
Really?
Yeah, my grandpa's got a piece of ground that a creek goes through, and a lot of years it's always in alfalfa, but they've had corn and wheat and stuff out there. And yeah, I've seen some big, beautiful wheat just get washed away from, just
A
a
gully
train.
washer.
Yeah, just crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the creek got like 100 foot wide one time, went over the highway. It was like, it was record
flood.
high. Yeah, 10 inches of rain in one
Yeah.
night.
51 flood is what everyone talks about here. And that was, I think it was 51 flood. Marion County, west of us, got is something like that, like a foot of rain, and the ground was already wet, I think is what it was. No, I think it was a drought. Gosh, I need Heathman here to tell me. It's like they say every big drought is broken by a flood,
Mm-hmm.
at least in our neck of the woods. I mean, dude, Oklahoma, you just look at it. You want to watch rain on a radar? Just pull up Oklahoma anytime, any day, right? Just right now. They went from drought to Oklahoma's a lake right now.
Yeah.
And anyway, but yeah, every big floods. I think it was 51 flood. There's still pictures. They talk about the old hay barn over by town. The family was sitting on top of the barn to hopefully get taken out by boat if they could get boats to it. I mean, they're big hay barns. They stack a lot of hay in them things.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what breaks our droughts?
What?
Snow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of snow?
Yeah. It takes blizzards to break it. Well, so they say.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to like a lot of the historic droughts, there's usually they say, well, then in the winter or whatever, or spring or whatever. I think my one landlord talks about I think it was the spring of 57. It was in March. It came in and it drifted snow to the top of their barn. And like it was crazy. A bunch of cattle were down in the bottoms for people, and they got drifted under and froze to death and things, but all melted off, and they raised great crops for the next few years. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's something about just when that winter, I don't know if it's the atmosphere where it's cooler, it takes its time melting and soaking in. We'll just build a profile, like a true profile. And then, then our timely or untimely summer rains just kind of keep you going from there.
So 18 was real dry for us. 2018 was super dry. 19 was the year of 5 floods.
Yep.
And that was the year my wife went to Greece and with some friends on a historical tour for a month. And she was going to leave like May 20th and get back middle of June. Mm-hmm. Game on. I'm in that tractor right there. It's behind the door, and I'm planting beans.
Right.
And I'm spraying.
You just hammered down.
Yeah. I'm like, I will probably won't even see you much anyway. Yes, you're going to miss my birthday. You can make up for that later. Wink. And anyway, and so, off she went. The day she left was when the rain started, and it rained every single day she was gone except for 2 days. And the river came out 3 times. At 3 times in that 3 weeks. And then it came out 2 more times that summer. And I don't even know how much rain. Like I said, I need Heathman here to tell me all the rainfall amounts. But yeah, it was nuts.
That was all of the Flint Hills, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember I came through here the drought year and saw them chopping corn. And
everything got chopped.
Yeah,
everything got chopped. Yeah.
There. And we were having...
Well, if we're chopping corn, it's because it was planned to be chopped.
Mm-hmm.
But that year, there was Diamond Creek to the north. There was not 1 acre of corn that got cut with a combine. First time in history.
Crazy.
First time in history. Every acre got chopped.
That's wild.
And people were shoving it in tube socks because, cattle guys were getting feed, and they needed it. Dude, the cow guys were freaking out.
Yeah.
And so anything they could get to feed cattle, we got insurance checks, and away it went. Mm-hmm. And, wasn't great, but.
Yeah. And then I remember it flooding in 19 up there.
Driving through the lakes of Flint Hills.
Yeah. I was doing some work for a guy that was outside of Manhattan, and I had to take like extra routes to get, not that there's a ton of roads up there anyway. So it's like reroute it. And
right.
It was nuts. Yeah. Then we killed a lot of ducks that fall.
Oh my gosh. A lot of ducks.
There was,
You get a
there
lot
was,
of birds
there
out.
was water everywhere.
You get a lot of birds out west if you get rain.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, like when the migration comes through, if we have a wet fall, there's a lot of little ponds, and if you get like a cold front, it'll push them down and they'll hold for a few days.
Okay.
We get a ton of sandhill cranes.
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen like 10,000 sandhill cranes out on a field before. I know there's probably a couple guys in here that are like about to have a seizure thinking about that, but like it gets
Yeah, he's over there. Oh.
oh yeah. But yeah, it's like when it's time to get good on like the migration, like you'll just get flooded with them.
Wow.
So yeah, but if it's dry, it's good luck.
Yeah. It's just gone.
Right.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. Per usual, it's so good to see you. And
Same, man.
I don't know, just rub shoulders with good people. It raises all, let's see, a rising tide raises all ships.
Mm-hmm.
I love that saying. I love that saying.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for all the cool people we've gotten to meet through this whole, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, just surround yourself with good people.
And good
Yeah,
things happen.
Exactly.
Shocker how that
Yeah,
works.
funny.
So, okay. Kirk's going to want me to say there's merch. Boom. Repping right there. And merch on the website and YouTube. We just we filmed more stuff with Johnny today in the field.
Yeah, I'm
crop
getting
updates.
swallowed up with content. I had
Roots
to take a
and-
slight break because my brain can't handle anymore.
I know. It's so fun to go through a field with him. And it's also extremely depressing because he's just like speed walking along. He's seeing so many things that are normal that it's just, and I'm like, what are you thinking? I wish I had like a board that just I could read off of what is going through his
Right.
mind. Because he was just pointing this out and pointing this out and pointing this out. I'm like, can you record this?
Yeah,
I need to go back and
slow down. I need to
What?
keep up here.
Yeah. Anyway, so cool. So that's that. Social media platforms. Kirk's got a do-rag on his head.
Looking
That's
good.
weird.
Yeah.
And a California thing. And we're going to sign off.
Okay. We'll see you on the flip side.
Over and out.
Guys, thanks for watching the content so far. If you would like to see more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got all the full-length podcasts, other video information, tutorials on there. Also on all the major podcast platforms and social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. So if you like this, go ahead and check more out on all those platforms.